My son and his friend are a couple. How do I let them know it's okay? Hello Reddit. Please bear with me regarding my formatting and things. I have read the rules and things, but I'm an old fart who is rather on the wrong side of 40, so I'm not overly well versed in the art of efficient interneting. My boy is 20 years old. He's absolutely my pride and joy, and there is nothing he could do that would ever make me love him less. For the first half of his life, I regrettably wasn't involved very much. His mother and I parted ways when he was just a few months old, and at the time I was struggling with heroin addiction, and was absolutely not as present in his life as I should have been, nor was I suited to fatherhood at all. I saw him, at most, 2 to 3 times a year for the first 12 years of his life. I won't discuss details because that's his private story to tell, but when he was 12, he revealed to me that he was being badly mistreated at the hands of his mother and her boyfriend. Despite not being the best father at the time, I didn't want my boy suffering anymore, so I got myself cleaned up and sorted out in order to get full custody of him. I've effectively been a single, and sober, father ever since, and he has little to no contact with his mother. He's everything a man could want his son to be. He's uniquely kind and fiercely loyal. He's unflinchingly brave. He's incredibly generous and, despite the horrors he suffered as a child, he's unfailingly positive and sunny to the last. Somehow, I of all people was bestowed with the honor of watching him grow from a sweet young boy to the greatest man I have ever known. I cannot stress enough my pride in him. When he was 18, he got accepted into a top-ranking university on the other side of the country. I was sad to see him go, but simultaneously overjoyed that he got into his first choice and was starting a new chapter in his life. He comes home once every other month, and on the months he doesn't come home, I go to visit him. He's doing well in uni, has made lots of friends, and seems incredibly happy there, which I'm obviously chuffed about. Since his second year, he's lived with his friend in a flat off campus. I've strongly suspected since his early teens that my son is gay, and I now more or less have confirmation that this is true and that his friend is actually his boyfriend. So, for this COVID-19 faff, my son decided he'd rather come home and quarantine at mine than stay at his uni flat. His friend, however, would be left alone if my son came back, as he's a Canadian and his family are back over there, and I gather he doesn't have the best relationship with them anyway. He asked if it would be okay if a friend tagged along to my house, and I said, of course, no problem. They've been back at mine for about 6 weeks now. They think they're being subtle, I know, but I've caught them doing coupley things on several occasions now. The friend has slipped up a couple of times and called my son a babe and a sweetie in front of me, which I pretended not to notice for the sake of saving embarrassment. There have been nights where we'll be watching a film with the lights off and, thinking I can't see, my son will have his arm around the friend. One day I walked into the lounge and I'm positive they'd just been kissing and were trying to cover it, though I admit I have no confirmation on that one. The most solid evidence, however, came a few mornings ago. I get up very early to go for runs in the morning, hence why I'm making a Reddit post at 5 in the morning. As far as I was told, my son was sleeping in his childhood room and his friend was in the guest room. I don't know what possessed me to do so, but on Tuesday morning I cracked my son's door open to check on him as I used to when he was a kid. Lo and behold, they're both asleep, snuggled up together, in my son's bed. That's more or less solidified for me that they're together. I didn't say anything, just shut the door and went for my run, and I haven't mentioned it to them yet. What I want advice on is this: how do I let my son and his boyfriend know that I'm okay with them being a couple and they don't have to feel like they have to sneak around in my house? I want them to be comfortable here, and I want them to know I support them both no matter what. Or is that not a good idea? Am I better off leaving it alone and waiting until they tell me themselves if they ever do? I obviously don't want to force either of them out of the closet, but at the same time, I hate feeling as if they feel like they're being forced into the closet in my house. What's my best course of action here? TLDR, my son and his friend are staying with me for quarantine. It's abundantly clear they're a couple, and I want to let them know it's okay, and they don't have to sneak around in my house. What's the best way to go about it? Update: my son and his friend are a couple. How do I let them know it's okay? I tried to post this before, but it got removed as I hadn't waited 48 hours. Hopefully this time it works. Hello, lovely people. As promised, I am back with an update for you on all that happened the other day. Here it is if you missed it. Want to top this off with a big thank you to everyone who left such lovely, thoughtful comments. I honestly didn't expect so many people to see the post. I was thinking maybe an absolute maximum of 100 people, and even that seemed like loads. It was lovely to hear back from so many of you, and I'm forever grateful for the fantastic advice most of you gave. Also overjoyed by my new adopted Reddit children. You're all doing amazing, and I'm very proud of all of you. Also big thanks to all of the lovely people who sent me such sweet messages of support, and to those of you who reached out to me because you felt you needed someone to talk to. If anyone else feels that way and is in need of daily advice, do feel free to give me a message and I will do my best to help out. Okay, you all want me to shut up and tell you what happened. My son was busy with some assignments both for his freelancing job and his uni work most of the day, and I didn't want to disturb him, so I waited until after dinner to chat. Friend went to have a bath while my son and I watched the telly. I told him face to face, son, I love you very much. You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to, but I want you and friend to feel comfortable being yourselves in my house, and you don't ever need to hide anything from me, alright? Well, it turns out a hell of a lot of you were right. Son burst out laughing and said, thank God. I reckoned you'd clicked on but didn't say anything because I didn't want to make you feel weird. Basically, we've each been pussyfooting around the topic because neither one of us wanted to make the other uncomfortable talking about it. We had a bit of a chat and he confirmed that I'm right in thinking they've been together since their first year of uni, and that's why they moved in together in the second year. However, apparently, I'm not as brilliant and intuitive as I thought, because apparently one of his friends in secondary school was his boyfriend for a year, and I had absolutely no idea. He went and talked to the boyfriend after his bath, and then we all had a bit of a further chat. Sadly, a lot of you were right that the reason the boyfriend doesn't have a good relationship with his parents is that he came out to them a few years ago and they effectively disowned him, so I made sure he knows that he's a part of our family now. Sorry if that isn't all as exciting and groundbreaking as some of you had hoped. I'm glad this is something my boy no longer feels he has to keep from me, and I'm very glad he's happy with his partner. Thank you all again for the help. My best friend, F30, pretty much ghosted me after getting a boyfriend and now suddenly wants to hang out because he's out of town. This doesn't sit right with me. So as the title states, my best friend and I, both F30, haven't seen much of each other this year. She got into a relationship at the end of last year and I was so happy for her. She was single for several years. I never expected her to be the type of friend who ghosts her friends when they get into a relationship, but suddenly, she stopped wanting to hang out, stopped texting, etc. She's not in an abusive relationship either. I've met her boyfriend and he's great. She just doesn't want to make time for me/friends anymore and spends almost all her time with him when she's not at work. She takes a few weeks to respond to texts, and when I've asked to hang out, she'll tell me she's busy with her boyfriend and, how about 2 to 3 months from now? And then when I ask her in 2 months, she's busy, and how about in another 2 months? I'm just asking to catch up over brunch or something once in a while, not trying to monopolize all her time. Girl ain't busy. We live 5 minutes away from each other and also work the same job, diff company, so I know she's just making up excuses. Normally, I wouldn't be annoyed by this, but I felt like I was her pillar of emotional support for years. She'd call me after a bad date, after a good date, just to chat. We hung out often. We were very close, basically. Then she gets into a relationship and she takes a minimum of 3 weeks to reply to a simple text. I stopped making an effort to text her/ask to hang out after about 6 months of almost radio silence on her end. Then recently, she messaged me a flurry of messages and was acting like everything was normal/old times. She wants to get lunch over the weekend and then go for dinner and drinks mid-next week and maybe see a show another day. I asked her why she wants to suddenly see me so much, and she replied, I've got some free time because boyfriend is settling work stuff overseas for a month. Maybe I'm really petty, but I think friendship is a two-way street and this doesn't sit right with me. She pretty much ghosted me after she found a boyfriend, and she now expects me to make so much time for her because her boyfriend is out of town and she's got some free time? IMO. You don't treat your friends like they're disposable and then pretend everything is normal when you find yourself with no one to hang out with. And I always made time for her despite being in a long-term relationship, because isn't that what people do? Maintain friendships while being in a relationship? Why do some people see it as one or the other? Any thoughts? Am I being petty, or would you feel a similar type of way? What would you do? Edit to add, I mentioned this in a comment below and felt I should add this here. I've been trying for a baby for the past year, with no success, sadly. She knew I was trying but hasn't even asked at any point about how that whole journey is going. And the fact that she wants to go for dinner and drinks suggests to me that she's forgotten? TLDR. My best friend ghosted me after getting into a relationship, and now suddenly wants to spend a lot of time together simply because her boyfriend is out of town.